Hello, I'm the Pink Phantom, and this is my podcast. Join me as I delve into the world of games and gaming, and especially old school RPGs. Together, let's voyage into the astral realm and check out my Phantom thoughts. This year, I've been using the 2025 Hex-a-day Workbook and Planner from Third Kingdom Games. Now, I got this on Kickstarter, and it was originally called the 2025 Hex Crawl Daily Workbook. So I guess they changed the name a little. But it's you've probably seen the pages that people use for determining what's in a hex, where there's a picture of a hex in the corner, and it's divided into smaller hexes, and then there's just space for you to add whatever. Some of them have a place where you specifically add treasure or random tables or creatures or what have you. This particular one, it's got one page for each day. And then at the beginning of the book, it's got some pages with lots of hexes, one of them with very tiny hexes. It says overall map. It's got a bold line dividing it vertically and horizontally. And then it's got the next four maps are sort of the sub-maps of that: top left, top right, bottom right. And then there's a page of just blank hexes, which is the same size as those others, but just not, it doesn't have any numbers on it. And the four sub-maps are numbered, so you can keep track of each hex. And then on the pages themselves, you have one large hexagon with sort of parts of the surrounding hexagons, and then a bunch of little hexagons divided it up. And it's five from face to face. It's five hexagons from face to face. So you're dividing a fifth, and they're all numbered on that small map. And then it has off to the side, it has the date and the day of the week, and then a few lines beside the hex, and then below that, for the rest of the page, lines that span basically the entire page. And one of them is labeled hex, one is scale, and then notes, and then that's the rest of the page. So not a lot to it. There's no kind of random tables or anything in here. There's no kind of procedure offered. It's just a place for you to build a hex a day for whatever you wish. The one thing that is, I don't know if I call it disappointing, I would like it to have been a little different, is for the page for each day, the hexes are all numbered the same. So from day January 1st, January 2nd, January 3rd, it starts with 01.02, and then 01.03, and moves down and goes all the way across to the last row is nines, and it ends with 09.08. Oddly enough, there's no ones. It all starts with 02, which is an interesting choice. Now I would have preferred for the hexes to be individually numbered, but I know why they didn't do that, because that would be a terrible undertaking to do 365 pages where all the mini hexes were individually numbered. So I understand why they didn't do it, but that would have maybe made it a little more useful for me for, just for, here's where this hex ends, here's where this hex starts, and that kind of thing. But I've been using the dates as the numbers of the hexes, essentially. So the first hex I did, I call it 1-1 and then 1-2. And so when I'm doing the hexes that are connected, I'll just put top or bottom or in the corners, this is 1-2, and this is how so you see how it's connected to 1-1. And so I've been using it to just kind of fill out the terrain that of the larger hex map that I've been using for my solo AD&D RPG experience. And it's kind of funny because as I've been doing that, my original map, which is just again, it's a hex map, and it's one page, but it's like half a sheet of letter size paper. So it's a smaller size. And the way I labeled them was I labeled letters and numbers, letters along one axis and numbers along the other. So I ended up, writing beside the dates that corresponds to this one on the overmap. And I tried using the overmap on this one, but the hexes are so small on the overall map that even just putting a number and a dash and a number is hard to fit in, at least for me, because they're very tiny hexes. I mean, those are really small. On the top left, top right, quarter maps, it's a little easier because they're bigger. But I've been doing that, and for all of January and the first day or two of February, it was a hex on the world map is the middle hex on each page, and then so I'm dividing that into fifths essentially. So it's a fifth scale, and I've been using 10 miles to the hex on the overmap, just because in AD&D they can usually their movement rate of about 20 miles a day. I want it to be over 2 hexes instead of just 1. So on the smaller hexes are then 2 miles because they're half of that. They're 1/5 of that 10. But then the last few days, I've started breaking down the individual small hexes in some of the areas that where the characters have been the most or spending the most time, to kind of plot out better. Okay, well, this is where this happened in the tale so far. This is where this happened in the adventure so far, and to do that and to help just kind of flesh out the world on a smaller scale, which makes those about 400. I'm sorry, I don't know why I said 400. About 1,000 feet, a little over 1,000 feet. So about 1,250 feet, because 5,280 feet divided by 5. Well, no, about 1,000 feet. I did it right the first time. So about 1,000 feet. So that's what I've been doing with that. And so that was just something I wanted to mention. It's a spiral bound book. It's very big because it's got so many pages in it. And it's the pages themselves again they're that same size as my overmap hex map that I was using. They're half a letter sized paper. I think some notebooks that are done that way are called junior sized. So it's not this big sprawling thing when you unfold it. And it does have at the beginning of each month, it has some kind of an illustration. They usually have hexes on them, or they'll have some kind of a map on them, and they're pretty cool. There's a lot of different illustrators they use. So there's a lot of different styles. So I find that interesting. But I find it pretty useful. The one thing I have noticed is going back and forth to say, okay, these hexes are together. Then I'm having to flip back and forth between the pages to kind of get the mini hexes in that corner or on that side to line up, to fill in those details. And then that way I can tell, okay, well, the road needs to go this way and the river needs to go this way, or what have you. But that was something interesting I had. Again, that's the 2025 Hex-a-day Workbook and Planner from Third Kingdom Games. And I'm not sorry I backed it.
And now, more from my solo AD&D RPG campaign, Tales of the Dragon Slayers.
All right, previously in the battle between the Riverkeep Garrison and 7 Hill Giants, the garrison had managed to down 1 Hill Giantess, but had suffered 15 losses themselves, and now we're coming up on round 3. So, rolling for initiative, we have the Giants rolling a 3, and the party rolling a 4. So the garrison will get to go first. We'll go ahead and do the character party first. So let's go with the Paladin. He needs a 16 or better to hit. And he rolls exactly a 16. Let's see how the rest of the party does. Let's see, the magic user is out of offensive spells. So he's going to throw a dart. He's going to need a 17 to hit. It misses. And the ranger will need a 16 to hit, but has a +3 on the roll. And with an 8, misses. And then the 2 heavy footmen need 17s. and neither one of them hits. So only the paladin hits. The paladin does not have any bonuses to damage, so it's going to be a straight D12. And he rolls an 11, and that's enough to down that giant. So that's 2 giants down now. So we go on to the group against heavy infantry, where we have 4 heavy infantry and a sergeant against one of them. And we're needing 17s to hit. We have a total of 2 hits. One of them is the sergeant, and he has a +1 to damage. So we're going to D12 twice and add 1. So we've got an 8. And we've got a 12. That's 20 points +1. And that is just enough. That giant had 21 hit points. So that giant is down. So now we have another giant with, again, same group, 4 heavy infantry plus a sergeant. No, wait, those were 6. No, because there was some on the own. Okay. All right, and this time we have no hits. All right, and then the last 4 against the adolescent, and again, no hits. So now against the female giants, we have 3 light cavalry against, and a sergeant against 1. And we have 2 hits. Let's see, no, just 1. The sergeant, we need 1 more to hit. And so that is going to be a D8 against that giantess. That's 5 points of damage on that giantess. And then the 4 horses, they need 12s. It's 1 hit out of the first 3. And 1 hit on the other one, so that's 2d4 damage. That is a total of 5. That giantess is still standing, but just barely. All right, so the giantess that was downed, the 4 horsemen and the sergeant who were attacking it will attack the one that was unoccupied at that moment. And we have no hits there. And now the horses, 5 horses total. We have 1 hit. And then the 2 remaining horses, we have 3 more hits, so a total of 4 hits. So 4d4, 2 plus 3 is 5, plus 1 is 6, plus 2 is 8. And that is it, because now everybody's engaged in melee and it's hard for the archers to pick targets. But that does mean that the remaining giantess can't just chuck rocks at the archers who were, quite frankly, taking the brunt of the assault here. So the giants should check morale because they lost 25% of their party. There would be a plus 5% to the roll because of losing 25%. There would also be plus 10% for each dead friend. They've lost 3, so that would be a plus 35% to the roll. But it's minus 10% for every enemy slain, which they've killed 15. So that's a minus 115 when you factor those together. So there's no chance for them to fail the roll because there's not the subtraction is going to leave the result below 0%. And their morale is still at 82. So they will fight on. So the giant that is fighting against one group of the heavy infantry attacks, needing only a, let's see here, the heavy infantry needs a 10 or better to hit and rolls a 20. Is going to do a total of 3 points of damage. That is enough to kill anyone except a sergeant. So let's roll a d12 to see who they hit. Well, let's see here. It's only 5. So we'll roll a D4. On a 6, we reroll. On a 5, it's the sergeant. It's a 4. So that is 1 dead heavy infantryman. Then one of the remaining female giants against light cavalry, needing. Let's see. The light cavalry only have an armor class of 7, so she needs to roll a 8 or better, and rolls exactly an 8. But could have swung at a horse. The horse. Let's see here. The horse also has a 7 armor class. So this will just be purely to see who they hit between horse and rider on that target. High is the horse, low is the rider on a D6. At 1, it is the rider. And they're doing 1d10 of damage. And a 9 kills that horseman. So that's 2 dead by the giants this round. All right, the other giantess, same situation. Rolls a 17, that's a hit. Horse or rider. This time it's the horse. Rolling a d10. No. Yep. All right. And rolls a 5. But the horse has 7 hit points. So the horse is still standing. And then the youth, striking back at his attackers with a 3. He's going against the heavy infantry. So that's not enough to hit. It's 7. I don't think I rolled for him last time, so I'm going to go ahead and roll for him this time. That's a 3. I think I may have missed him on the first turn too, so we'll roll for him again. A 16, so that's a hit. So that is going to be 3, 7 points of damage, and then just see. Let's say there wasn't a sergeant attacking him, so that's 3 kills by the giants this round. So that's going to bring us to round 4. Round 4 for the giants. Roll initiative 3. The party rolls initiative 5. Now the garrison has suffered 25% casualties. They must do a morale check. The roll will be at a -5 because of the 25% casualties. And it'll be at a minus, let's see, 3 losses versus 18 losses. So minus 150 for the losses. So a total of minus 155. So I'm going to go for each group separately. There is still a chance some of these groups could pass even at 100 minus 155, but they're going to need really high rolls. There's 2 groups. The Heavy Cross and the Light Cavalry that fail immediately. So they're both going to try to flee back to the keep. And now we'll roll for the rest. The Heavy Infantry, they need to roll. They need to roll. Okay, so the bonuses are high. It's plus 155%, not minus 155%. They need to roll a 4% or lower, the heavy infantry, to stay on the field. And they roll 37, so they're gone. Light crossbow, same thing. 30%, they're gone. The heavy foot, let's see here, the heavy foot for the character group, they're gone. The characters themselves need to roll under 19%. And they do. They stay on the field. They rolled an 18, just enough. All right, so they will stay while the others are running. Let's see, what was the difference? The difference was way more for all of them. So they just turned and ran. So we'll get some free shots by the giants who were engaged by anybody except the party. See, the party killed 2, so none of them were engaged by the party, so they're all going to get a free shot. So the adolescent against the heavy infantry, a 13, that's a hit. And unless he rolls less than, nope, okay. So he kills another heavy infantry. So that one's gone. The 2 females, an 11 and 17, that's enough. Let's see, horse or rider. horse, horse. And so they will roll. That doesn't kill a horse. That doesn't kill a horse. So the horses are still standing. All right, so and then the one male against a heavy infantry, a 3. That's not good enough. So he doesn't get a hit in. So now the party, seeing everyone flee the field, they kind of look at each other. So the paladin moves on to the next male giant. And he rolls a 15. Is that sufficient to hit the giant? That is not. That is not good enough. The ranger moves on to one of the female giants. And with a 20 gets a hit. Let's see, which of the female giants did he go to? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's see here. All right, he goes to the one that has more hit points on it. So he's got a plus 40 damage from his strength, plus 1 from his spear, and then rolling 1d8. That's a 5, so a total of 9 points. That giantess is still standing. And then the mage. What does the mage do? He is out of offensive spells. However, he is wearing the invulnerable coat of armed, which does have a primary power of power word kill once per day. So let's look at that description. Power word kill. When a power word kill is uttered, one or more creatures within the spell range and area of effect will be slain. The power word will destroy a creature with up to 60 hit points, or it will kill 2 or more creatures with 10 or fewer hit points, up to a maximum of 120 hit points. The option to attack a single creature or multiple creatures must be stated along with the spell range and area of effect or center. So looking the situation over, he's going to look at the fact that the paladin's engaged with one target with the remaining male giant, the ranger with the female giant that looks like it's better shape, and there's one female giant that looks like is very battered, and the adolescent who looks like he's in good health. So he's going to do one target, the adolescent, and the adolescent is slain outright. So that's power word kill. There's no saving throw. There's no saving throw in first edition D&D on that spell. But here's the other thing. The invulnerable coat of armed, as it was rolled up, is living and sentient. And the use of its primary power yields a 3% cumulative chance for it to break free and change its possessor into an artifact. So now I'm going to roll a D percentile, and if we roll a 3% or less, something amazing is going to happen. Well, something amazing has already happened with Power Word Kill, and 46. So dodging the bullet, but that's been activated one time. So we're actually, you know what? Let's see how many times it's been activated. Let's roll a D12 and just see. It's been done 10 times. So it would need a 33% because they've had it for a while, and I'm sure it's been used before. And D12 seems like a good roll because I like a good D12 roll. So here's our situation. The giants being below 50% should take another morale check. However, again, they've killed so many and a bunch have run off, and you get bonuses for people who desert. So there's no chance of them failing morale. So they're going to get to strike back. So first, the one that's attacking the paladin. The paladin has an armor class of -2. And so he's going to need a 14 or better to hit the paladin, and gets an 18. So 2d8 damage, 1 and 2, 3 points of damage. So that's 3 points of damage on the paladin. Then the one with the ranger has a -3 armor class. So this giantess is going to need a 19 or better to hit, and rolls a 10. So now the remaining giantess Having seen the adolescent die after the mage said something, screams and attacks the mage. Now, the mage is wearing the invulnerable coat of Arnd. It covers basically the entire torso, the upper part, the groin, and upper part of the legs, and the upper part of the arms. So the only vulnerable parts of the mage are, which still has a high armor class of 1, are high armor class 1. No, I'm sorry, high armor class of 5 is the lower legs, the lower arms, and the head. Now, a giant, I don't think is going to be able to really swing at the lower legs. So I'm going to roll the hit die and roll a D8. And on a 1 or 2, she manages to hit the head or upper arms. Yeah, otherwise, it's invulnerable coat of Arnd, not taking a hit. So she rolled a 2. And she rolled a 13 on her attack roll. So that is sufficient to do damage to the mage. And she does a D10. And this magic user only has 5 hit points, so this could be interesting. And she rolls a 7. So the magic user is down, even with the invulnerable coat of Arnd on. So there you go. So now we move to another round. So the remaining group, the party, rolls a 3. The giants roll a 1. Now this raises an interesting conundrum, because I've been treating this party as part of the overall army. I've been treating their morale that way as well. The army has run away. There's more than enough between desertion and death. There's more than enough positives to the roll that they cannot make this morale roll. But my instincts tell me that an adventuring party, having done a lot of damage to the giants this last round, would stay and fight. So what I'm going to say is that with the mage going down, they're going to try to withdraw, but the paladin is going to run over and try to grab him, and the ranger as well, and they're going to try to pick him up and take off with him. So the ranger will try to defend them as the paladin goes to grab the mage. So the giants will get an opportunity to attack as they move away, and then move into range of the giantess. So the male giant against the paladin, trying to get away. He rolls a 2, that's a miss. The female giant engaged with the ranger, rolls a 1, that's a miss. And then the giantess, when the paladin comes up to try to grab the mage, rolls a 6, and that is a miss. So it's just clanging off the armor. So they grab, and I'm going to give her another attack as the paladin runs away. They should have sufficient movement to make it, about 3 inches away, I'll say. And she rolls a 9 with bonuses. Let's see here. The paladin's back armor class is 1. She would normally need a 14. It's +4 attacking from the rear, I believe. So no, she still doesn't hit. Still wangs off the armor, and they're off. So now the question becomes, what did the giants do in their turn? Did they pursue? Because they can pursue and overtake this group because they have sufficient movement to do so, and they can charge because they haven't charged. So we're going to go based on that they're being hurt. I'm going to say it's 50-50. I'm going to roll percentile for this because, we're talking percentages here. And we'll see. So 50% or less, they charge to attack. And they rolled a 14, of course. So the male charges into the paladin. Well, charges into ranger. The ranger is kind of lolling behind. And he rolls a 5 and misses. The giantesses steamroll past him to attack the paladin and the mage. So hitting the paladin, a 5, that's a miss. A 13, let's see, would that be sufficient to hit his armor class? Since the paladin is got their back to him, yes, that is sufficient. So 1d10 points of damage, 10 points of damage on that. So the paladin is still up. So now it's another round. The party rolls a 3. The Giants roll a 5. Giants attack again. Adult male versus the Ranger, a 1. That's a miss. The 2 female Giants against the Paladin, a 3 and a 15. The 15 is a hit. 3 points of damage. Paladin is still standing. We'll say the Paladin dropped his shield, but held on to his sword. So he's going to take a swing back since they've re-engaged and attack this one of the female Giants. Let's see which one. The one that's hurt more or less. And on a 3, it's the one that's hurt less. He rolls a 15. That is not sufficient. He's just short. Ranger against the male Giant, a 12 with his bonuses is still 15. Doesn't hit. So the next round, the party, a 2. The Giants, a 2. Simultaneous. So the Paladin rolls a 6 and misses. The Ranger rolls a 1 and misses. The male Giant rolls a 3 and misses. The 2 female Giants roll a 3 and a 5 and miss. Next round, the Giants roll a 5. The party rolls a 5. Simultaneous. Paladin versus females. And 11, that's not enough. Ranger, 12 with his bonuses, still not enough. Male Giant, 9, not good enough. Female Giants against the Paladin, still not good enough. No, wait. He dropped his shield, so he is... Nope, not sufficient. Still not sufficient for the females. All right. So, next round, the party, a 3. The Giants, a 2. Paladin, 19, finally a hit. So he was targeting the one with the more hit points. 1d12, 7 hit points. That Giantess is still standing. The Ranger rolls a 9. That's a miss. Male Giant versus Ranger, 7. Giantesses, an 18 and a 20. Those are both hits. So, 2d10 worth of damage. This could be it for the Paladin. And it is. And it's bad. It's 19. He had 5 left. So he's above minus 10. So he is dead. And the mage has gradually been whittled down. He's down to minus 4. Ooh. Okay. Next round. The Giants, a 1. The Ranger, a 5. Heroic stand to try to save his friends. High, he does. Low, he doesn't. Rolling a d12. He rolled a 9, so he stays. Against the male Giant, a 6. That's a miss. He probably should have run. That would have been the smart thing to do, I think. Male Giant, a 2. That's a miss. The 2 female Giants come over. That's a 20. I'm going to say the other one is attacking from behind just because they're so big. A 7. That's a miss. So 1 hit, d10 damage, 4 points of damage to the Ranger. That's his first damage. Next round, the Ranger, a 5. The Giants, a 6. Male Giant, 16. Is that good enough to hit the Ranger? It is. That is good enough to hit the Ranger, and he does 2d8. 1, 4. Lucky for the Ranger there. Well, he'd had to do max damage to kill the Ranger, so. All right, so that's 5 points of damage. All right, the females. The one in front, a 2. The one in the back, a 7. Those are both misses. So at this point, the Ranger is going to decide that discretion is the better part of valor, but that's going to give them an opportunity for shots.
with a bonus, of course, hitting from the back. I think it's actually only +2 to the back, but here we go. Let's see here. The male giant rolls a 6, so that's not going to be good enough even with bonus. Female giant's a 9 and a 15. Female giant, let's see here. What's his back armor class? His back armor class is 3. So that is good enough. That is good enough. Nope. 9 is not good enough, but the 15 is. So one more D10 of damage. 10 points, but the ranger is still up, still has 1 hit point left, and begins fleeing. So now there is a question of who wins this next round, because if the giants win, they can catch up and attack. Well, no, because they've already used their charge action. So it's going to be a chase, but we're going to have to see, can the ranger get inside the keep before the giants catch up to him the second time. So the ranger rolls a 3, the giants roll a 5, so they catch up to him, but he runs to the door of the keep. They come running. The ranger a 2, the giants a 3, so they catch up, and as he's getting into the keep, they're going to get one more attack in before he can get inside. So the adult male, that's a hit, and the ranger is dead. Dies at the edge of the keep. And as the giants pound at the entrance to the keep, trying to get in, coming in from the south, the heavy cavalry approaches the keep and breaks into a charge. And we will get to that next time. The opening theme of this podcast was Strength of the Titans, and the closing music is Late Night Radio, both from Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com, licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 4.0 license. If you have any thoughts or feedback, you can get in touch with me by leaving me a voicemail on my Google Voice number, 864-209-1441. That's 864-209-1441. Or through SpeakPipe at www.speakpipe.com/Phantom Thoughts. That's www.speakpipe.com/Phantom Thoughts. Or you can send me a message or an audio file on Discord, where I can be found the Pink Phantom, or through email, phantomthoughtspodcast@gmail.com. That's phantomthoughtspodcast@gmail.com. I don't have to play or read your feedback on the podcast if that is not your preference. Just let me know.